Hello. Hi, Destin.
Hi, can you can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. My name is Myong Choi. I do movie reviews on YouTube. So glad to be able to chat with you.
Yeah, great to talk to you too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say start off by saying this. I'm not saying it just because you're on the chat with me, but Shang Chi was my favorite Marvel movie of all time, hands down. I loved it a lot. You did a great and fantastic job on the movie.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I really loved it. And I was always curious, how does the director selection process work for Marvel? Like, for actors you usually audition for a role. How does that selection process work for a director? Do they come to you? Do you approach Marvel? How did that selection go down?
Well, there's usually some type of announcement that they're looking for directors for a project, which there was in this case, and
Mhm.
I got very excited about at least being a part of the conversation for this particular character, and I went in to just have a meeting with Jonathan Schwartz, our producer. And that meeting turned into another conversation and then another conversation. And these are all just going in and just talking through what if scenarios and throwing ideas around back and forth and seeing what happens. And then eventually, and they're doing that with other directors too at the time.
Uh,
And then eventually they asked me to come in and do an official pitch, and that was when I pitched my vision for what type of story I would tell with this movie, and that's how I booked the gig.
awesome. And Marvel, you're not only the director but also a writer of the film as well. But Marvel, they've been doing this for a while, obviously. They Some people might call it formulaic, almost what they do. How much freedom did they give to you as a writer and director, to fulfill the vision that you had for Shang-Chi?
I mean, surprisingly, a lot of freedom.
Great.
There, and I've found that to be the case with other directors who I'm friends with who work there. That there isn't really a mentality of squashing directors down or trying to control them or manipulate them. There actually is it's the opposite. They actually hire us because they like the direction or the voice that we're trying to take the project. So I actually felt very supported, and all the way through to the end.
So they give you a lot of trust, and that's awesome to hear. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, their system that they created actually just allows for a lot of experimentation, allows for trial and error. So you can take bigger swings that may seem risky, and if it really doesn't work, you have the ability to reshoot things and try to course correct. So that's I find that to be very helpful in being able to explore ideas without somebody saying no too quickly.
Right. Nice, nice. And one of the things I think people are going to find about this movie is what stands out is the action sequences. They're fantastic. Being a big Hong Kong martial arts fan myself, I was so happy to see the late Brad Allen, working on this film. I know he passed away last month, which is very sad to hear. But what was it like working with him and his experiences with, the whole martial arts choreography and all of that?
I mean, Brad Allen, as you know, comes out of Jackie Chan stunt. We had another one of our other head fight coordinators, Andy Chang, was also out of that camp, and they are not only trained to do great martial arts and stunt choreography, they're primarily trained to tell good stories, and they want to infuse a narrative into every fight sequence. I don't know about you, but I typically get kind of exhausted by action sequences that just are explosions and kicks
Sure.
and punches. And
Yeah.
what I love about the sequences that we built together in this movie is the narrative through line, the character development that's happening, the fact that you don't lose the characters in the action. You can track them and see them going from one point to another point, or growing or learning over the course of each sequence.
Yeah, I would agree fully. Each action sequence, like you said, has its own little story, has its own style, and I thought that was fantastic as well. It wasn't the same thing over and over again, which I really appreciated. So it was a great job there. So were you a martial arts fan yourself before this movie? And if so, who were your biggest influences, your favorite movies, etc.?
I mean, I was a Bruce Lee fan, like anybody back in the day, because I mean, because Bruce Lee is awesome, but there's also just no other choices, I think, for Asian Americans to look up to,
Yeah.
and then what I loved about Jackie Chan when I started getting into Jackie Chan films is that he brought he did break the stereotype of like the super cool, like awesome fighter. Like, he was an awesome fighter, but he was so bumbly and made mistakes and fun, um Jackie Chan was definitely a big influence on the fun that we wanted people to have, the joy of choreography, of great physical comedy. Um, and we also had choreographers like Peng Zhang, who is one of a great choreographer out of mainland China, and he brought
Mm,
over a whole stunt team from mainland China,
nice.
and he was behind a lot of the more beautiful, elegant choreo in the movie, like the fight between Wenwu and Lee, and the final fights between Wenwu and his son. Um, uh, Peng Zheng he was Jet Li's stunt double. He worked on a lot of movies in China, and he 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 was influenced a lot by the movie Tai Chi Master with Jet Li.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very good. But they're also pulling references from like Japanese anime and video games for a lot of the third act um, choreography.
Well, time's running out, so one last quick question, Destiny, if you don't mind. When do you get to come back home to Maui, and what do you miss the most about it?
Um, I was supposed to be there right now,
Okay.
but because of the announcement by the governor, we just decided it wasn't the most responsible thing to do. But we're planning. I'm planning to come out there again for the Hawaii International Film Festival
Oh,
a little
nice.
later
Yeah.
this year.
Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm.
and then I'll come back again for Thanksgiving to go home to see my family. That's what I miss the most, is my family.
Johanna. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right on. Well, thanks so much for your time, Destin. Really appreciate it. The film is fantastic, and best of luck to you in the future. Love the film a lot. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.